EndZone Rush, first event results and review for NFL 2K Playmakers. Let me know in the comments, how did you do this weekend? What rank did you get? What do you think of this event? Do you like it? Do you not like it? We're going to go over all that in today's video. I'm going to tell you all the things that I did like, even though there weren't too many, and a lot of the things that I didn't like, which is actually quite a few. So let's go results first. 344, 9,045 points. The event was super easy. There's not very many people playing this game right now, unfortunately, which kind of has me just a little bit worried. I will say though that the event card looks cool. Kind of disappointed that it wasn't a different design than the Myles Garrett that we've already had, and next week I kind of suspect it to be the same event. Give us another opportunity to get more copies of this, because if you did finish in the top 25, you only got 3, and that's not going to do most people very much good. So now let's talk about the event itself, then we'll get into all of the tiny small, maybe nitpicky things that I felt to be quite bothersome when I was playing this game. But like I said, overall, the game mode was okay at best. Game mode was really easy, didn't really require any strategy at all. And being that there's not very many people playing this game, it was pretty easy to even get the event card. I didn't play hardly at all on Sunday, didn't play today very much either. And my placement really didn't move at all. So, yeah, I mean, overall, it was nice to have something different to play and something to change the monotony of doing those other game modes, or really just Red Zone Drive and Seasons over and over and over again. So that was kind of nice. I do like the design of this, or the idea of this particular game mode. It's just once we get into the nitpicky things, I guess, that if they change some of those, I think this game mode could be really good, but overall, like I said, okay at best. So now getting into the finer details of the things that I liked or things that I didn't like in the game. And you might not necessarily agree with a lot of these things, which is totally cool. But like I said, let me know in the comments what you think about this sort of stuff. And, you know, some people are going to think I'm being a little nitpicky. But there are things, like I said, that do bother me in this game. And the first being, at the start of each game, you're asked to select a ball carrier. Now, the ball carrier you choose really has no impact in the overall game, apparently. It's just pretty much just highest stats. But why is offensive lineman on it? Why are tight ends on it? Wide receivers, you can make the case that they do carry the ball sometimes, but I think to stay, you know, true to football, true to the sport, if you have a ball carrier, why not just make them the running back or quarterback, and maybe even sometimes the wide receiver? Having offensive lineman and tight end here as a selection is just stupid. And then when it comes to the selection of the blockers, this is kind of very similar to the same thing. Why is a quarterback in there? Yeah, of course, running backs do block, wide receivers do block, but the majority of the blockers should be offensive linemen and tight ends. If we're gonna, again, stay true to football, stay true to the sport, you need to have running backs, quarterbacks, maybe receivers as the ball carrier, offensive linemen, wide receivers, I guess running backs as well, and tight ends as blockers. Get the quarterback out of there. Ain't no quarterback can block. That's just, again, stupid. I think another thing that bothered me was the shuffle boost. Now, in order to use the shuffle boost, you can only use it at the start when you're selecting a ball carrier. You can use your shuffle boost, select or put those 3 cards back into the deck, and you get 3 cards back out. And maybe you come across the running back or ball carrier that you're looking for. But why can't we shuffle when it comes to blockers? At the start of the game, when you're given your 4 blockers, why can't we use the shuffle to shuffle up the blockers back in our deck and then get 4 new ones? Now, while I do like the boosts in the game, which kind of give it a, I don't know, I don't want to say strategy here because it's really not anything that has to do with strategy. The boosts are completely random per lane. Sometimes you'll get them, sometimes you won't. So there's really no way to set up your deck to get boosts all the time. But if you are so lucky to get a boost, that particular player, if they match that playstyle, gets that 5% boost. And when you're, later on or whatever tier you're at, that can actually be somewhat useful. But what's not useful is that after you get that boost and you match up with the defense and, the result happens, then it subtracts the 5% again. Like imagine, I kind of, very similarly in WWE Supercard, when you use a support card or when your ability activates or something like that, imagine like putting in a support card and then doing your matchup and then them subtracting the support card right back. That just seems really silly. And what's the point of having the boost in most cases if all they're going to do is take it back anyway? So I think that granted in WWE Supercard, when you use a super move, it doesn't let you keep the boost, but this is just 5%. This is more like an ability activation, not even as much as the support card. This 5% should stick if it's going to be on here to benefit us, especially when you have to use health in the next round. And speaking of health and speaking of health boost, that is one definitely a great thing that I think they did in this game is your ability to use helmets to purchase some of these boosts. Now, does that take away the pay to win aspect of it? I'm going to argue about that later in the video. But I think a lot of people do have helmets. Helmets are fairly easy to get as far as a currency goes in the game, and you can just purchase them whenever you want without having to use coins. So that is an absolute amazing addition. You do need health though in order to get this finished, which is kind of another thing that I really don't like about it. If you have a Sapphire 3 deck and you're facing Sapphire 3 opponents, you can't finish the game unless you use health boosts. Now, if you're Sapphire 3 and face a Sapphire 1, you should be able to get through without using a health boost. But if it's Sapphire 3 versus Sapphire 3, it's crazy to me to think that the best player in the game, or the players that have the best cards in the game, can't even get through the entire game mode without having to use some currency in order to finish it. That just doesn't seem right to me. Of course, so if you don't have the best cards, I can certainly understand having to use some sort of boost in order to help you along. But like I said, even if you have the best cards in the game and you face Sapphire 3 decks, you still have to use boosts. You have to use a currency. And if you don't have any currency and don't have any coins or whatever, then what are you going to do? Having the best deck in the game could mean nothing. Now, like I said, I am a little disappointed that there is no strategy involved. Not really play styles being useful, plays aren't being useful or anything like that. But then in the same sense, Road to Glory has nothing to do with strategy. It's just putting in your best cards and grinding all the way through. But, in comparison, if you are somebody that has the best cards in the game, you can get through Road to Glory no problem without having to use any sort of boost. So another thing that I really didn't like is the fact that there is no deck editor for this particular game mode. Now, this game mode takes only the offense, and it only takes the best players, which means you're going to take the 3 best offensive linemen, receivers, running backs, and the 2 best tight ends and quarterbacks. And if you had a setup before or a strategy before utilizing play styles and plays in your playbook, well, you just messed that whole thing up, which, I personally did. I just put in all of my best guys, and now I got to go back in after the event is over and then rearrange this. Now, if you were playing other game modes like Red Zone Drive or Seasons or anything like that, you are now not utilizing your plays, not utilizing your play styles because, well, you have it set up for best players to play the particular event. And you can't go back and forth, and you definitely don't want to be switching them back and forth. We need to add a deck editor per every single game mode. thought that was given. I thought that was given, especially for being that, you know, they've done WWE Supercard, they've done NBA Supercard. We have to have a deck editor. Let's talk about the leaderboard real quick. 41.5K. Wow. That is a lot of points, especially when we only got 9,000. I do see lots of people, you know, on this top 25 that come out to the streams, come out to the videos. Absolutely awesome. GGTL. Kind of interested about this 16th rank, 14th rank, 12 rank, and 8 rank players that say NFL 2K Playmakers. They are all level 50. They are all Sapphire 3, and they all have a different team. I don't know if they're friends, if it's a glitch, if they're just players that have been kicked. I don't know if it's anything, or maybe it's just a bunch of friends that decided to change their name to whatever. Either way, though, I thought that was a little weird. Now, being able to see the top 25 is kind of interesting, but not really all that helpful. Seeing the people around you, again, is kind of interesting, but not at all helpful. The rewards right here from top, or from 1 to 50, from 51 to 225 to 220 to 251 to 500. While interesting, again, not useful at all. These need to have ranks on it. This needs to say how many points you need to be in the top 50. How many points you need to be in 250 to 500 to 1500, etc. That way, if I am sitting down here at 344 and I get some hair up my ass, like I'm gonna all of a sudden go hardcore and grind to try to get that 250, I'm gonna wanna know how many points I need to make up in order to get to 250. One of the other things that I think they did a pretty good job on was actually making a pack in the store that you could also use with the helmets. It's not here anymore, but it was a pack, I think, for the offensive linemen. And you could get as high as, I believe, Emerald. You couldn't get top tier, but you could get Emerald cards. And that's, I guess, good for, you know, lower tiered players, or maybe people that just want to spend on, you know, spend some of their helmets. But it was like 21,000, which is pretty expensive, but it was nice to see, you know, at least a pack in the store that could have been useful. Now, overall, we probably spent close to 40,000 silver helmets, and we only got, what, 388th place or something like that. I can't imagine how many helmets that some people probably spent. If not, they spent all of them. I'm really not sure. But obviously, you know, you get so many back from the dupes after, you know, the things that you're pulling on the draft board. And once we get through Sapphire, we'll also start getting more and more of these, you know, building up these helmets. But yeah, the helmets go by really quick with all these boosts. And even though we didn't get even in the top 250, we still spent close to 40,000. So is this game mode pay to win? And I know it's probably a bit controversial, and a lot of people might not agree with me, at least to what I have to say. But, you know, my personal opinion is I honestly think it is. I think the format in which it's structured is a pay to win type of game mode. But was this particular game mode a pay to win event? No, it wasn't. It was super easy. There wasn't hardly anybody playing the event at all. And so that made it obviously free to play in that sense. But the reason why it is a pay to win game mode is because any sort of game mode in which you have to pay a specific amount of currency in order to get a very distinct advantage from other players when you use that currency, to me, that is the definition of paying to win. Does it cost actual money? I mean, you could have used actual money, sure. And if you didn't have any helmets, you could have used coins in order to do that. Most people had helmets, so they were able to use some of that health. And so it really wasn't a problem in that sense, but I still think the structure of it is pay to win by far. So I'm going to make the comparison with WWE Supercard and Last Man Standing. I think a lot of people would say, hey, Last Man Standing, a very pay to win game mode. And I don't necessarily argue with that, but I personally think Last Man Standing is super easy, and it is a super easy event to get an event card. Why? Well, in my particular case, I save all of my credits. I don't spend them on anything. I don't buy any packs. I don't do any of that stuff. So all of the credits I have by the time Last Man Standing comes around, I have 1,500. I have 2,000 credits, and they are free. They were free to me. I did not purchase them with any sort of money. And I can buy boosts. I can buy blocks. I can buy reveals with those credits that I saved for free. And so I can get the event card without a problem using a free currency that's actually a bought currency, but it was given to me for free. And I'm able to get the event card. Not everybody has that, amount of credits. Not everybody saves the credits. And in that game, buying blocks, buying reveals, and buying point doublers gives you a huge distinct advantage, which makes it a pay-to-win game mode. So yeah, I think the structure of this particular game mode is set up very, very similar to that. In order to get, like I said, even if you're Sapphire 3 and you're playing Sapphire 3 players, you still have to purchase health. And yeah, most people do have helmets. But this is the first event. It's not going to be like that forever. Most people are not going to have that many helmets. I can't imagine how many. There's probably people that spent 100,000 helmets on health and stuff like that. And I mean, I could be wrong, but this is just my general take on it. It just feels like the way that it's structured is structured for a pay-to-win game mode that you have to use currency of something in order to do well. And so I don't know, that's just my personal opinion on it. And I think it's going to get harder the next one and the next one after that. And if we have events every single week where we don't have 200,000 helmets saved up already, and we could just blow through them, in this particular event, I think there's could be a time in which, we don't have very many helmets coming into this, and we go through this and we're going to run out of helmets, and it's like, shit, what do I do now? But you know what? Not very many people are playing the game, so it might not ever honestly be a problem. We really don't know. But let me know in the comments. What do y'all think about this game mode? Do you agree, disagree with any of the things that I said? And like I said, I mean, for being a first event, I thought it was okay. It wasn't awful. It was nice to break the monotony. It was a very, very simplified game mode. I do hope they make some adjustment to, I don't know, maybe follow some of the football rules and some of the football strategy a little bit. Maybe even make it a way for us to get ads. Now, this, again, is something I don't necessarily know, but over on Twitter anyway, a pretty angry Twitter user came at me talking about how, yeah, I should have done my research and learned that, we can't place ads on this NFL game. And if that's true, I don't know. I didn't do my research, but if that is the case, then maybe we'll never get ads in the game. But maybe they should come up with some alternate method, right? While we're grinding the game, maybe make it something that's pullable on the draft board, like just getting a free energy, right? Instead of getting a tier reset, maybe you could get a free energy instead if you don't have any. But those are my thoughts. That is my opinion on this particular game. I probably think that next week is going to be this same event, and maybe even the week after that. Will they make any adjustments or changes to this particular game mode? Honestly, I wouldn't count on it. I mean, it's Cat Daddy for, like we know, and I doubt that they're trying to look to tweak this event. If it's not broke and there's no glitches in it and there's no bugs in it, then they probably won't fix it. So it's going to be the same. It is, again, like I said, a little bit irritating with some of these things, but it's pretty simple. Nobody's really even playing the game, and so it's not too hard to get the event card. Let me know in the comments what y'all think and how y'all did, and I will see y'all next time. Y'all take it easy. We're out. Peace.